Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Made in New England interview series, where we talk with New England-based companies and the people who lead them. I'm your host, Steve DeVries, and today I'm joined by Mark Schnepel, CEO at Heat Recovery Innovations. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. It's great to be here.
All right. Well, so Mark, maybe you could start us off by telling our guests a little bit about who you are and what Heat Recovery Innovations does.
Sure. Mark Schnepel. I'm President and CEO of Heat Recovery Innovations. We are a spinout, going to be celebrating our first year in a month or two here. And we are specialists in heat recovery, high temperature heat recovery. So we build heat exchangers of all shapes and sizes that help our customers recover as much heat as possible and make their processes as efficient as possible.
So for those of us who maybe aren't as familiar with heat exchangers, could you maybe paint a little bit of a picture on what a heat exchanger is and maybe just some basics on how it works?
Sure. A heat exchanger is an efficiency driver. It's a device that is put into a system to take heat that needs to either be rejected or recycled. So there's typically two flow paths, a hot side flow path and a cold side flow path. And the idea is that the heat will travel from the hot side to the cold side. So a lot of great examples are car radiators. Your engine develops a lot of heat, and in order for that to operate at peak efficiency, you must reject that heat. And that's the purpose of a radiator, which is a heat exchanger. So the cooling fluid goes through your engine and it goes in your radiator, and that it gets expelled to the atmosphere, and that allows your engine to run cool and run at peak efficiency. That's one example. Another example is on the recovery side. A lot of applications that we deal with have a waste heat off of, let's say, a furnace or an exhaustive stream of some sort. And the customer would like to take that exhaust heat, that energy, and they would like to put it to good use. So instead of just allowing it to go up the stack and go into the environment and not get utilized, they put a heat exchanger in place, and they can make hot water from that. They can make steam. They can run an absorption chilling system to make cooling. There's just a ton of applications out there for waste heat recovery. And that's what HRI was set up to do, was to cater to those high temperature heat recovery markets.
That's amazing. So I would say then safe to classify your business, at least in some way, shape, or form, as being supportive of a green movement. Yes?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And in fact, the International Energy Association thinks that, roughly 35% of our carbon reduction goals by 2050 can be met with these types of energy efficiency projects. So again, taking that waste heat of a process that we already do today, whether it's manufacturing glass or steel or whatever the case may be, if we just make those processes more efficient by recycling more of that waste heat, we can solve a third of our problem just in doing that. And that's pretty exciting. And that's where HRI is making a global impact today.
That's amazing. So we're now all experts on heat exchangers. So thank you for that. So you said you've been in business for about a year, but you've actually, when we talked earlier before we started recording, you've actually been doing this for a long time, maybe just under a different brand. So can you just tell us a little bit what's driven your success to this point?
Absolutely. So yes, the business started back in the late 1990s as Ingersoll Rand. Ingersoll Rand had formed a small division called Energy Systems with the idea of producing small gas turbine generators or microturbines. One of the key components of those microturbines is a recuperator, which is a high temperature heat exchanger. And in that particular application, the recuperator has a really dramatic effect. A small gas turbine, depending on the size and style, might be 15 to 20% efficient. But when you put this recuperator on there, it drives it up to over 30% efficient. So, back in the late 1990s, when Ingersoll Rand was developing all of these different technologies, they had gone out to the market to try and find recuperators and really weren't satisfied with the price point or the performance of what was out there commercially available. So they decided to vertically integrate and bring the technology in-house. We hired some experts and we set out to design recuperators for our gas turbine products. And that technology was put in the field by Ingersoll Rand for about 10 years, from 2001 to 2010, when the business became Flex Energy, private equity backed. And we continued along that road for quite a while. And then in 2016, a large customer came to us, still a customer of ours today. They came to us and said, "Hey, we hear you have the best heat exchanger, in the business, and we'd like you to take a look at our application." So we needed to innovate. We needed to divorce some of the turbine-specific design elements from the core technology and allow us to scale it up in this case. So we're able to successfully do that, and that really kind of, the light bulb went off, and then, hey, there's a side business here. We can sell heat exchangers, and we continued to do that up until we spun the business out last year as Heat Recovery Innovations.
Very cool. I was checking out some of your social media posts. Is it safe to assume that everything you do is specific for each client, or do you have some standard products that you can offer from, say, just off the shelf?
Great question. Yes, everything we make is 100% custom. We have a very collaborative approach. We like to get in early with our customers and really work shoulder to shoulder with their team. So our engineers and their engineers working together to solve those problems. And our customers come to us because the market doesn't have what they're looking for. They're looking for a 100% custom heat exchanger that has no compromises. So that's a performance, life, the cost, where connection points are made, what materials are used, what the maintenance profile is going to look like. All of those are levers that we can pull in different ways to give them exactly what they're looking for, to truly optimize the efficiency of their system, which is ultimately the benefit, to make it as efficient as possible and to produce as little waste as possible.
I love that. So, the challenge that I've seen, and I've worked in companies where it was, designed to order, right? Or we call it original design manufacturing. So I'm always curious, in one-off scenarios, right? What metrics do you use in order to make sure that project to project, quarter to quarter, year to year, you're hitting on all the metrics that you want to hit on?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as a growing company, we focus on the standard metrics. Safety is always number one. We look at bookings and shipments and cash and revenue on monthly and quarterly basis. Gross margin, of course, but then we have some operational excellence metrics that we look at. Absolutely, everything that we make is 100% custom, and it's some complex manufacturing processes. There's a lot of brazing involved, as well as welding. And welding is one of the key metrics that we look at on a regular basis. We look at takt times for welding. So when we are putting the job together and quoting it, we are estimating the amount of weld time that goes into it, because that's a big bottleneck and a big cost driver for us. It's just the amount of welding that goes into the product. So we're always looking for innovative solutions to weld faster. That might be, how can we set up, to keep the torches lit so there's not any questions. Is there new technology out there? We just made some recent investments in a couple of different types of welding technology that have drastically reduced the takt time for some of our welding operations. One of them is a laser welding system that easily goes 10 times faster than the TIG welding that it replaced.
Nice.
And as we look to grow our business even further, we have to keep our eye on this, because that bottleneck will not go away if we don't act, and work towards reducing weld times.
Very cool. So as you look at your business and you look out on the horizon, what excites you most about the future of that business?
Sure. Really, we love to help our customers solve problems. A lot of our customers come to us and tell us that they wish they had found us sooner. And that really comes down to the fact that we bring a lot more value than just what we sell them. In some cases, our customers adopt some of our practices into their own products just because they see something that they like and that gives them benefit. The second thing that really excites me is just making things in New England. I've always wanted to build things, even as a child. I've always been, in my dad's workshop or taking apart this or that. And I get an immense sense of pride every time we ship something out the door. Even, we have a lot of repeat customers and a lot of repeat products, but every time another shipment goes out, it means that we built something here in New England. We employed a lot of good people with, high-paying, skilled manufacturing jobs, and that's important to me. I've been all over the world, and for my money, New England is about as good as it gets. So it's satisfying to build a business here, to boost the local economy, buying materials and services from other local businesses and really helping New England prosper.
Do your customers come mostly from New England, or are you worldwide?
Worldwide, we're international. We have shipped products all over the place. There is a fair amount that is based in the United States, but we have customers all over the world.
Very cool. So international business right here in New England. So on the flip side, right? So we've looked out and we've talked about what excites you. If you could wave a magic wand over your business and solve something or make one thing happen, what would that be?
Well, I think that as we grow, we have to manage that growth very carefully. We are very collaborative with our customers. And one of the challenges that I see going forward is as we grow, I don't want that connection with our customers to be diluted. We have a very experienced team that has been in some cases with me for 20 odd years. But it's going to take more than just the team that we have here. We're going to have to, grow more people, and, as we get more customers. So I don't want to dilute the culture that we have here, the collaborative culture. So I would say that's the thing that I'm keeping my eye on the most as we grow. And if I had a magic wand, that's probably where I would point it.
Nice. Well, so you've been a CEO, you've been a business leader for a long time now. You've seen a business, spin out and start something new. So what advice would you have for business leaders that might find themselves in a similar situation?
Well, I think the first thing is to look for value in a business, and don't be afraid to pivot when and where you see that value. We spent over 20 years making, small gas turbine generators, and the recuperator was a necessary part of that. And when it really was obvious that we could not start to sell that, we started off slowly by just growing that business, and seeing if it had legs. But then when it was obvious that it was growing very quickly and needed to be out on its own, we needed to make that decision and pivot to do the spin out. And I think that there's a lot of similar situations out there in the world where, maybe the existing business thesis, may not be the best one, in a long-term scenario. But there may be other, small subsets of business that do have a lot of potential. So, keep your eyes open. And if you see that value, pivot to it quickly.
Your answer makes me think about another podcast conversation I had where the guest said, find a problem and bring a unique solution, right? That's how to be creative and build a business. And I think I heard a very similar thought process coming from you. So I appreciate that answer. Mark, you've been a great guest today. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, everybody. Our guest today, Mark Schnepel from Heat Recovery Innovations. Check out their website, check out their social media. There's a lot of cool stuff going on there. And we'll be back soon with another episode. Thanks for watching and listening.